Okay, it's actually going to work.
Oh, yay.
Sorry for the delay.
I'm taking my cues from you, Katie. Okay, we got the go sign. Very good. Well, thank you for joining us this afternoon for a look at proposed rule changes for Oregon administrative rules that govern the local government grant program. I am Mark Callan. I'm the grant program coordinator for the local government grant program. And also with me today is Michelle Scalise, grant program section manager, and then also Katie Gauthier, government policies manager for Oregon State Parks as well. Today, we're going to take a brief summary look at the local government grant program, just so that we're all on the same page. And then we will also do a quick review of the proposed rule changes. And then we will be happy to receive any public comment if there is any. This hearing is provided primarily to provide an opportunity for public input. No decisions will actually be made as part of this meeting today. Anyone desiring to make comment has 3 minutes to comment. Commenters will be called on in the order that they registered. The meeting will be recorded and posted on our website. And if you do not wish to comment, you can just simply say pass when you're called upon. So just kind of a quick overview here of the local government grant program. The program was established by the Oregon legislature on the vote of the people back in 1998. And you can see there in a map kind of to the right, the kind of the distribution of awards over the last number of years. The purpose of the program is to award matching grants for outdoor park and recreation areas and facilities. Eligible projects include property acquisition, planning, development, and rehabilitation of existing sites. Eligible applicants include cities, counties, metro, park and recreation districts, and port districts. The funding source, of course, is the Oregon Lottery Funds for Natural Resources. And over the last number of years, this has allowed us to award approximately $6 million annually, which is 12% of OPRD's share of lottery funds. Just kind of as an overview, you know, the projects that the local government grant program can get involved with can be as simple and modest as a vault toilet installation in a bike park here in Jackson County, all the way up to a very highly sculpted and landscaped city park like Thomas Cully Park in Portland. Nature play has become very popular, and we've been involved in many nature play type installations. This is a former rock quarry turned lake that has been developed out in the Turner Lake area, just outside of Salem, into a very nice beach and swimming area. The local government grant program can get involved in outdoor swimming type setups. And of course, we do quite a number of splash pad installations. We can also get involved in ballpark facilities, turf, bleachers, fencing, landscaping, sidewalks, lighting. And of course, trail connectivity has been a hallmark of the program for a number of years. And this is the last segment in the river front trail in Hood River, Oregon. And then really right here, this is a great summary of pretty much what we do mostly. And it has to do with landscaping, playground equipment, restrooms and parks, picnic shelters, and playground equipment. Just to give you a little peek of where we've been just in the last recent history, 2019 was really our last normal year of operating since the pandemic. And in that year, we received 54 applications, and we had about $6 million to award in that particular year. In 2020, the pandemic kind of shut things down right about the time that the cycle began. We had 56 applications, and we picked a number of 5 million because we thought that was safe, given the fact that we weren't sure what lottery funds were going to do. So we picked that number knowing that we could cover that amount if we had to, if funds should dry up for some reason. And then funds really did kind of dry up later in the year. So in the 2021 cycle, we put a hold on the whole program, and we did not accept any applications, and we did not make any awards. We just put everything on hold till the next year. Then at the end of that year, lottery did open back up. Lottery funds did start flowing again, and they rebounded actually quite healthily. And so we found ourselves with basically about the same amount of money that we would have had eventually. And so in the 2022 cycle, we had 14 million to work with. So you can see that's a little bit more than double what we would have normally had. So that was, we thought, well, boy, we'll be able to fund a lot of awards, but at the same time, all these communities, or a lot of these communities, had grant applications that they had prepared in the previous 21 cycle that they couldn't submit. So now they submitted them in the 22 cycle. Plus, we had lots of Oregon communities that had excess COVID stimulus money to use as match money. So consequently, we had a record cycle with 83 applications coming in and $14 million to work with. So we basically kind of did double time in 2022. There's also this caveat here within the Oregon statutes that we've been keeping our eye on as time has been marching on. And that's that, I'll read this highlighted section here, that if 150% of the amount that was transferred during the 2009-2011 biennium, which was the first year of the program, if the money reaches 150% of that amount, then that triggers this change from 12% to 25%, meaning that the money that flows into state parks, that 12% that goes into the local government grant program changes from 12% to 25%, which is a big jump. So we've been watching that. And as you can see, this top line here, line number 1, the 2009-11 biennium, the first year of the program, 12% of the lottery dollars that went into the grant program, you can see there was almost $10 million. Well, each year that has steadily increased down to, you see the blue line, and this is what we've been keeping our eye on. We anticipate that in the 2023-25 biennium, we're going to hit that triggered 150% amount, which is going to change from 12% to 25%, which means we will have basically in 30 million to work with. So if that was split over an annual type situation, that gives us about $15 million per year. So as you can see in the last cycle where we had 14 million to work with, that really kind of jumped us forward to what we think reality is going to be like going forward. It was kind of, we got kind of an advanced dry run of what we're going to be dealing with in the future here. So as you can see, that's kind of one of the reasons basically for these rule changes. And among that though, there's other things. Some of the rules have simply become outdated. We've made a number of basically just textual changes to kind of keep up with the times. We're also trying to adjust to this 12% to 25% share that's going to flow in, we anticipate in the coming years. We're changing the maximum grant amounts to kind of keep pace with the amount of dollars that are coming into the program. More money means we can make larger awards, but also we're seeing that we're really having to keep pace with inflation right now. That's impacting all of our grantees in a pretty big way. And we've also added some language in here to just basically help us increase our flexibility to address small and underserved communities. Just gives us a little more latitude to try to target a little bit more money towards the smaller communities if we can. So far, we originally drafted our proposed rule changes, and then we assembled a rules advisory committee of people within the industry, and that committee helped us go through these changes. They had an opportunity to do a review on the changes, discuss any potential impacts. They looked at wording, they looked at implementation concerns, and of course they also discussed fiscal impacts to various applicant agencies. And then they made their recommendations. And then we incorporated their recommendations into the set of draft rules that you've most likely had a chance to look at in the last number of days. So let's go ahead and take a look at the changes. And we'll go through them in a little more detail. And that link is not working apparently. So I'm going to stop sharing and go to the actual document. Bear with me here for a moment as I need to get to my menu here somehow, and I'm still seeing both screens. Any idea why that's still happening?
No, but do you want me to share? I have the filing document, if that would be helpful.
Well, mine is, I'd really like to get to mine because mine is highlighted. Let's see if we can. Okay. Are you still with me? I ended the slideshow. Hopefully you're still there.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Be there just in a flash. Can you see the notice to proposed rulemaking document?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. And is it a reasonable size? A little on the large side, maybe? If I go to this, how's that?
If you can do it slightly bigger, what you had was pretty good. That's great.
Bigger? Okay.
Yep, great.
Okay, just as a reminder, if someone does not comment today and they have some thought that they want to still want to interject in here, you have until Thursday, November 3rd, up until 5 p.m. to submit comment. So you still have opportunity after today's presentation. And everything pretty much is staying the same other than the areas where I've highlighted. And again, this basically is just addressing the need for the change, and that's primarily this change from 12% to 25% coming up. These rules really have no identifiable effect on racial equity within the state. Financial impacts could potentially, well, let me just go to the highlighted section here. In summary, the proposed rules would increase maximum grant awards from $750,000 to $1 million. Like I said earlier, we felt we kind of need to keep up with inflation and to keep up with the in proportion of the dollars amount that we have to award. This could have a positive economic impact throughout Oregon. And additionally, proposed rules specify that up to 20% of grant funds may be set aside for small grants of up to $100,000. This will ensure that funding and the economic impact is spread throughout the state. That's again kind of reflects our desire to kind of push some of these dollars towards smaller communities if possible. When it comes to the cost of compliance, Oregon Parks and Recreation Department is the only state agency directly affected by the proposed rules. It is kind of interesting in that even though these dollars have been increasing, when this change happens from 12% to 25%, Oregon State Parks is going to take a little bit of a deficit hit until these funds continue to increase, because a bigger chunk of the state parks money is going to go into the local government grant program, but that will probably catch up in time. All cities, counties, parks and recreation districts, ports, metropolitan service districts in Oregon are eligible to apply for the grant program. The proposed changes may have a positive economic effect on local governments that apply for and receive larger grants proposed in the rule changes. So it's going to be a win-win for all the Oregon communities, basically. Would it have any effect on small businesses? Basically, any small contractor or small business that ends up being a contractor for some of these awarded Grants could certainly benefit from the increased business, so this could have a positive economic impact throughout the state. Basically, in summary, and you will have heard this a number of times today, the proposed amendments clarify that when funding dedicated to the program from constitutionally dedicated lottery funds exceeds 150% of lottery funds during the 2009-2011 biennium, the available grant funds will increase to 25% of OPRD's portion of lottery funds. If lottery revenues drop below that threshold, the percent available for the grant program would return to 12% of OPRD's lottery funding. That's an important notation that wasn't necessarily included in the original language, and we feel it's only appropriate that if the lottery funds drop again, that we would drop the percentage going into the program as well. And so then jumping, this is the actual language. Crossed out language is language that is being struck, underlined language is language that is being added. So this is basically just the actual language in the OIRs that we're proposing, that basically with a summary of what I just read. The first one says that the funds will, once it hits that 150% trigger, the funds going into the local government grant program change from 12% to 25%. And then this part two, if they drop below 150%, then it reverts back from 25% to the original 12%. Moving on down, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the changes that we've made here are just simply textual and punctuational and a little bit of formatting. So you can see here, like on this number one acquisition, we just removed the word means, replaced it with the. Instead of means gaining property rights, it just says acquisition, the gaining of property rights. And basically that pattern has been duplicated throughout this whole section here. Again, this is just a lot of textual updating. The apportionment of monies, this is, of course, this is one of the major components right here. Point number one there, up to 15% has been changed to up to 20% of available funds shall be set aside for small grants. That's basically a part of our effort to push more dollars into the small grant categories to benefit smaller communities. And then the maximum grant award within the small grant category is we're proposing to go from 75,000 up to 100,000. Likewise, point two there, the large grant projects, the maximum grant award is going up from 750,000 to $1 million. And again, as I mentioned earlier, this is in proportion to the amount of dollars we're receiving into the program, in addition to keeping up with inflation. We've added this point number 6. In consultation with the committee, the director may dedicate a portion of the available funds to projects located in cities or districts with populations under 25,000 and counties with populations under 50,000. Again, that's part of our effort to direct more dollars towards smaller communities. Again, just a number of little textual changes. This is one area that will highlight, this subsection 3.A. This is talking about the types of plans that should be in place to back up an application. And I'll just start in reading here in the middle. It says, any plan should have the projects that are consistent with the outdoor recreation goals and objectives contained within the SCORP, the statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, or recreation elements of the local comprehensive plan, or local master plans, or locally adopted planning documents. And basically the reason we've added this is a lot of smaller communities don't have the benefit of having a very sophisticated master planning process in place. So if their project is consistent with one of these elements, that's good verification for us. We just kind of broadened the net a little bit here is all. Again, just more textual changes on what we require in the application process.
Mark, that conversion part isn't highlighted, but probably should go over at least that top part that was changed.
This is not new to this program, but it has been just slightly enhanced here. Point number 1 there, park and recreation areas and facilities developed with local government grant program assistance must be dedicated for a minimum of 25 years, etc. The next underlined section there, property acquired with local government grant program assistance shall be retained and used for public outdoor recreation in perpetuity. So that just further solidifies the fact that property purchased with local government grant program money is going to stay in recreational use for perpetuity, much like the Land and Water Conservation Fund program. Is there anything else, Michelle?
Yeah, and also just item number 4 was changed a little.
Okay. Item number 4 here.
I'm sorry, number 5, I think. Or no, sorry. No, 4 and 5. Sorry.
Okay. We've added the word remediation. I think the idea there is rather than outright approval, the remediation meaning a process. Is that right, Michelle? As long as a process is in process, then that means that other activities can move forward as long as a conversion issue is being addressed satisfactorily. And again, same thing in point number 5. If you have a conversion issue within your park system and it's being addressed, you're working on it, then basically that's kind of the difference here between an outright approval, which would indicate a done item. We're replacing it with remediation, meaning that there is at least a plan in the works and in process. Does that cover that adequately?
Yes, thank you, Mark.
This again is just some minor changes to the Local Government Grant Program Advisory Committee, just giving us a little more wiggle room on who we can bring onto that committee. And that's the end of the changes. So I'm going to stop sharing this and go back to our original presentation. I'm assuming there's no questions right now. I think we've pretty well covered our bases. So as we mentioned earlier, we still have an opportunity to accept comments up through 5 p.m. on November 3rd. And these comments will be compiled and shared with the Oregon Parks and Recreation Commission, and along with our report to the commission and our recommendations on how to move forward. And then the commission, of course, has some options. They can either vote to adopt rule changes as proposed. They can make amendments based on the comments that are received. And they can seek an additional public comment or rule changes if they feel that that's appropriate, or they can simply choose not to move forward on any of this at all. Everything that we've gone over today is posted at this rulemaking website. If you want to submit comments in writing, here is, of course, the actual address. And then if you want to do it by email, there's in blue the OPRD comment email address as well.
Great, thank you, Mark. If you're ready, I will open the formal public hearing comment portion of the presentation. So this hearing is now in session. It's being recorded to maintain a permanent record. My name is Katie Gauthier and I'm the hearings officer. Today is November 1st, 2022, and the time is 1:40 p.m. The purpose of this hearing is to provide an opportunity for public comment on the proposed rule change for OAR 736-006-0105 0110, 0115, 0125, 0140, and 0145. The Oregon Parks and Recreation Department regarding local government grant program. The agency invites comments on whether other options should be considered for achieving the rule's goals while reducing the negative impact on business. In addition to presenting oral comments at this hearing, anyone may submit written comments until 5 p.m. on November 3rd, which is the close of the public comment period. Comments received after the close of the public comment period will not be reviewed or considered by the agency unless the agency decides to extend public comment period for everyone. Send comments to the public comment box or the state parks office. Those addresses were posted on the screen before. To respect each speaker, anyone not presenting has been muted. We ask you limit your comments to 3 minutes. You may submit written comments. If you would like to provide a comment, please let us know. We will open it for public comments now. Okay, I don't see anyone that wishes to provide a public comment. Again, you may do so online on our website or in writing. Thank you for coming, and this hearing is adjourned. So thank Mark, Michelle, or Daniel, do you have any final closing thoughts?
Not for me.
Great. Well, thank you all for joining us, and thank you, Mark, for providing all of the background on this great program. And we look forward to comments on the proposed rulemaking until 5 p.m. on November 3rd. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Katie.